Are you looking for a podcast where you can hear from real people regarding their real dental drama? If so, then you've come to the right place. Join hosts Bethany Petty and Dr. Rena Kuba as we dive into the solutions we've created and the mistakes we've made while managing dental drama. Let's get started. Hey listeners, I want to remind you that the subscription is live. Go to today's show notes and click on the link to become a member. Now, I do want to remind you that this subscription is for everyone. Whether you have a consultant or don't, whether you're a practice owner or not, you're going to find tips that are really helpful. Now, we have had some questions on what all is included in the Level 2 membership. So I wanted to give you a general idea of what we covered in this month's digest. First of all, we gave you 6 different team building ideas, 2 for a low budget, medium budget, and high budget. We also developed 3 particular steps that we want you to take this month. Now, those steps are detailed, but we provide the documents so that you can literally just print that document out, follow the steps, and you will have taken 3 important steps to improve your practice or your team. We also have an article from myself and Dr. Kuba with just some food for thought. It is a power-packed digest. You don't want to miss out. Level 2 is definitely the way to go. So don't hesitate. Click on that link and become a member today. So it is middle of November, Dr. Kuba. I still can't believe that we're post-election now. We're in the Thanksgiving mode, and I am personally in the Thanksgiving mode. And so I want to talk about something today that I think there's tangible ways to think about the topic of appreciation, but for me, a lot of it is a mental game that we play. And I so many times am in practices where I'm thinking about, is this person even grateful for fill in the blank, whatever it is. I know in our family, we focus on gratitude a lot. I had a little whiny kid yesterday. She was just in a bad mood. And finally, by the end of the day, I was like, I'm annoyed at this ungrateful child, right? And so we had a moment where I just sat down with her eye to eye. And I was like, I want you to take 2 minutes and I want you to nonstop tell me things that you're thankful for, that you appreciate. And she started, and it started with the big stuff. Like, I'm thankful I got to eat today. Yes, I'm thankful about that too. I'm thankful I have a family. Yes, that's a good one. Thankful I have a good school, right? We started with the kind of big stuff. And then we were getting to the end of the 2 minutes, and I was like, hey, we just got back from the grocery store. Did you have to be in a wheelchair in the grocery store? No, Mom, I walked. Okay. Are you grateful for your legs? Yeah. Okay, good. Did you run up the driveway just a minute ago? Yeah, I did. What do you need for that? Air? Yeah. You got lungs. Lungs work, right? You got good working lungs today. Good. That's something to be grateful for. And it's interesting when we take that moment of gratitude and appreciation that it can change the rest of the day, right? So unfortunately, I waited too long to do that. We were at the end of the day. But it is a reminder of the mindset of gratitude and appreciation and how it can be a game changer in life, but I definitely think it's pivotal in a practice as well.
Well, I'm going to say something that I know is going to be very offensive here, but it's how I feel, so I'm just going to say it. But I think this is what a lot of times I find myself either saying or thinking, whether it's fair or not, or people my age saying, like, this newer generation is not appreciative for, like, the whining is endless, or sometimes I'll go back to the dental school, or the other day I was in a continuing education course, and it was about oral radiology, and the speaker was, we were laughing at film and the days of film where you have to go into the dark room, yes, and the red light would turn on, and the liquids that you'd have to put the developer and soaking. And I'm like, thank God I didn't have to do that. But I was the generation that had to put it through the processor. And to process a pano through that, I'd be stuck in the dark room for 5 minutes, right, and just sitting there in the dark. And It's not like we had a phone.
That lovely
yes,
smell.
Yes. And it's not like you had a phone in the dark room with you. Like you were literally just standing there for
Yes.
5 minutes, staring at the panel, like waiting for it to come out and hoping the patient didn't move. Because if they had, then back you go again, right? So those little things that we're grateful for. And I feel like I find myself constantly saying about this generation going, things are just handed to you. You didn't have to go to the library and check out microfiche to research your article. You've got Google in your hand. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's easy to get away from the thought of the art of appreciation and gratitude. Yeah. And so I guess then part of that is what is even the point? For this generation that, certainly our listeners are not that generation.
Right.
But, we all know somebody and multiple people that are just but I still didn't get this and my work-life balance and I don't get that and I'm just dude, you are wearing me out for all the things that you do get. Mm-hmm. And so we could tangent off a bunch of different ways, but I think for me, first of all, the mental, are you in a mindset of where you do stop to show your gratitude and express your gratitude, or even if not expressing, even just acknowledge that somebody did something for you that they didn't have to do? Or I think a lot of times it's tied with the mindset of, but that's what I pay them to do.
Yes.
So I should be getting this. And that's not wrong. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but I'm just saying, I think the old proverb of you get more flies with honey. Mm-hmm. Yes, I put out the honey so the flies should come. What else do you want from me, stupid flies? The honey's there for you. You know what I mean? But it's could you sweeten the deal even more so that you're getting more bang for your buck, if you will, from your investment? So yes, I'm paying you your $5 an hour, and yet you're coming in and you're doing exactly what you should be doing for your $5 an hour. But how can I get you to do $8 an hour's worth of work and only pay you $5? Are there ways that I can cultivate that to where you want to work more?
Yes.
And be just a smarter, getting more bang for your buck is maybe it. And I think a lot of that goes back to appreciation.
I agree with you 100%. And I think sometimes we just get in the rut of life and practicing dentistry and running a practice that I think gratitude takes an intentional effort. To be able to appreciate something, it really does take this pause component. Now, I do think some people are naturally more wired to just be appreciative. I think some people come by it honestly, and I don't know what that is. But I think most of us have to really fight ourselves, because either we're A, unappreciative people, which we can talk about that, or B, we're just too busy and we're not really taking the time to pause. I love this time of year. It's my favorite time of year because it is my internal clock reminder. Whoa, girl, slow down, pause. You're in the month of November. It's all about Thanksgiving. It's all about gratitude. And so it is a good reset for me personally. I use this month every year to kind of pause and go, okay, let me look back. Let me think about the little things that I am appreciative of, but I'm not doing anything with that appreciation. And I think if we could encourage any of our listeners, whether you're a practice owner or an employee, I think it fits across the or if you're a human that breathes, can you just please work with us this month on taking the time to put on an appreciative mindset? For those of you that come naturally, it may just be like, oh yeah, this is my reminder. But for most of us, we're going to have to actually fight for appreciation. So I was hoping you would. I feel like you are one of those people that naturally has an appreciative mindset, that I don't know what it is, but you tend to view things in an appreciative way. You appreciate things in a way that most people don't. So what are some things that you feel like, maybe let's talk to practice owners, that they could fight for appreciation on?
I think I just said it. I think the hard part that most of us go through is, well, that's what I pay you to do. So you're doing your job and now I'm supposed to do something on top of that. And my thought is, yeah. So, you could, to me, that's what's going to distinguish your McDonald's staff versus your Chick-fil-A staff. Chick-fil-A staff, have you given them the proper training? Have you gone through and talked about customer service? And to deliver that, you've got to exude that yourself. So if you don't exude, appreciation and care and proper wording and how that team member feels, how can they possibly pass that on to your patients? So I think that's probably the number one challenge that I think.
And I would say, even just using a recent example from you. So you and your team had an outing at a fall festival of some sort that one of your teammates kind of took the rein on, and she put it all together. And you were telling me about that recently, and you were super complimentary of your team member. You said so-and-so killed it. She was just, she did such a phenomenal job. That is an appreciation mindset, right? So you had to show up to this festival. You had to be on your, P's and Q's, and you had to hand out treats. And some people, that's just like the worst place on the planet. They'd much rather be snuggled up on the couch at their home, which I know you would prefer.
I was like, that's me. You're talking about me.
Yes. But, so you could have viewed that event as, we got to go to this community event. My marketing person on the team says this is important. I'd much rather spend my Friday night, doing something else, blah, blah, blah. Okay. That is a unappreciative mindset. The proper way to look at that is, I've got a person on my team that cares enough to find out about this event, to register us for this event, to put this event together in such a way that you were able to show up. The costume that she had picked out for you, she had communicated all of that to you. The plan was done. You could show up and just enjoy the event. An appreciation mindset after that event goes, what a phenomenal event because of my team member. Now, there's no doubt that when you, the practice owner, were there, that you killed it. You're talking to people, you're making connections, you're going to talk to other professionals there. Like, you killed it at the event, but that event wouldn't have happened without your team member doing what she did to make that possible. So it starts with the mindset. Rather than grumbling about an activity that you're being forced to do, instead, you are looking at that event as, look at my teammate go. Look at her. She's phenomenal.
And you could stop and say, well, I paid her to be there. Like, I'm telling you, you need to go decorate the trunk. Tell me what treats to get. Like, I'm paying you to do all of that. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, then take a team member who that's not their forte, or that was like, oh God, that's my job. And I'm just going to name her Natalie. All of Natalie's actions were from her heart. Yes, she's naturally good at it, and she enjoys stuff like that. But she could have easily just been like, okay, we're just doing this, and, let's not wear costumes. I'm not going to decorate the trunk. Like, whatever, right? She could have easily. So if I had another team member that I said, hey, you're in charge now, you're putting this together, I would have had a very different outcome. And so to me, it's like, yes, logically, I'm paying both of you to go do this. Like, if I had picked Susie instead of Natalie, or it was Susie's turn, say we did it that way. But Natalie killed it with her creativity, with her heart, with her passion, with her energy. So I guess my point is, if I were to just say, well, yeah, it's like, that's what I paid her to do. No, she could have. I know if Susie had done it, not that Susie would have done it begrudgingly, but Susie kind of, maybe it may not be her forte. She may not, or she may just not care that much. And you're like, oh, God damn it, it's Friday night. I'm supposed to go do this now. All right, Kuba, I've got our booth set up, and I could show up there and we could have had like 5 pieces of candy and no theme to our trunk. Well, I did it. You said I had to do a marketing event, and here I am. Right. So it's 2 very different outputs that you get. And Natalie slayed it. And I think it's because I've recognized before in her that she does good things, and I've kind of given her the authority. Like, even this trunk or treat, we found out about it the week before. And I said, dude, it's short notice. However, we're doing this other trunk or treat the week before that we've put together. Let me know if you want to do this one, because it seems like we'd already have everything together. Like, it would already be ready to go. But it is your time on a Friday night, so let me know. But it's giving her the authority. It was nothing fake, but I used my words to say, you did a really nice job with this. If you're available and you want to do it again, do you want to do it again? And I can come and help with here. And she was like, oh yeah, I got this. Because she knew she got it. But it's because everybody told, it wasn't just me, but everybody told her, oh my gosh, that trunk looks so good. And, you know, like we have an office thread. And I was like, thank you so much for making that happen. Yeah. After this one too, man, Natalie slayed it. Look at her. She just got this done. So I think just that pausing, maybe. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back now, but I'm just saying I think too many people don't do that.
Right.
And one is recognizing and appreciating her abilities.
Yes.
And so we have pegged her as somebody who's really good at this. Now, who have I missed? That's what I've got to go back and go, are there other people going, well, why weren't we in charge? Why weren't we invited? We didn't even know y'all were doing this trunk or treat. Like,
right.
I'm sitting here already going, uh-oh. Because there were a couple of comments on the group me going, where are y'all? Where did y'all do this? Crap. That's a mistake on our part. Just Natalie and I have been planning these and like not informing the team. So that's a takeaway for me to go, okay, maybe there's somebody else on the team that's like, dude, I could have done this too.
Right.
So I'm not stopping and getting comfortable in my, well, I recognize somebody and I appreciated somebody. No, I need to keep pushing myself to go, maybe there's somebody else on the team that I made feel not seen.
Yeah.
And I should have. But the first step is, did I even recognize the person who busted it, even though she was getting paid? But she did. She went above and beyond.
Exactly. And I think, too, come back to your point, you could easily view that as just an employee checking off the list. And I think practice owners sometimes get into that mindset because they've been burned. It comes from a place of hurt from other employees. And so they tend to try to guard themselves from that. And like, I'm not going to expect anything from my employees in the future. And so there's kind of this burn mentality that oftentimes is behind the lack of appreciation. But sometimes too, I'm trying to figure out the way to say this. Sometimes people are just unappreciative, period. And that is a problem because, for example, I'll give you another example that came up recently. You had an employee, something you sent me that showed an employee that was wanting to take on some marketing opportunities. And she was like, hey, just so you know, I'm happy to run out and do marketing anytime. I'm really interested in that. An unappreciative mindset would go, what does she want? I bet she's going to use this to try to get some kind of raise in the future. Look at her gunning for more hours.
Look at her trying to get out of the office work. She just wants to leave the office, have a reason to get out of the building.
We can have a jaded mindset towards people that is not healthy. To me, the art of appreciation is the art of also assuming the best in a person or assuming the positive. And yeah, we may get burned on that. We may realize, man, we put too much positivity into that person and it burned me on the back end. She was actually just looking to get out of the office and she's been out marketing every day this week and not at her seat at all. Okay, shoot, it burned you. But what's the harm in at least starting with the mindset of appreciation? And so we can look at that very negatively, or we can look at that as, here's a person that is looking to positively impact the practice. She knows she's going to be good at that. And she realizes she hasn't ever communicated that before. Wow, thank you, employee, for being verbal enough, because we could have gone 10 years and never knew that that was an interest of yours. I'm appreciative that she said something. I'm appreciative that she wants to work on behalf of the practice.
And I will be honest, I did have a negative thought in my head where I went, I think you think going into these practices is going to be fun because you're going to walk in and you're going to bring goodies and people are going to be like, oh, you brought us goodies. And you're going to talk. And I'm like, little does she know that for the most part, 8 out of 10 offices she's going to walk into, whether it's dental, medical, whatever it is, she's going to, because she greets in our office and she kills it. She's really good. So I think she thinks that's how everybody does it. I think she's going to walk into an office and people are not going to acknowledge that she walked in.
Right.
She's going to bring a nice goodie bag with, pretty, yummy cookies and a pretty display. And people are going to go, oh, well, you can put that over there. And I think, I'm like, she's going to get defeated pretty quick because I don't think she has any idea how ungrateful a lot of offices are when you go in with stuff.
Right.
So let's see how long this lasts was my thought. And then I had to stop myself and I was like, shut up. Like, she's offering to do it.
Yeah.
She may love it. Why are you planting the seed?
Right.
And why am I planting the seed? Because that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I used to think it would be fun to go into offices and take a fun bag and make it look pretty and walk in and say, hey, I'm Dr. Kuba, I'm down the road. And if nothing else, just me saying Dr. Kuba, somebody would have the mindset of going, oh, this is a doctor walking into the practice. Mm-hmm. They're not going to treat me like the gum on their shoe. Oh, no. They treated me like the gum on their shoe. They didn't give a flying flip about what I was bringing in, because they were just trying to get their job done. And in my mind, I'm like, well, this must be a miserable place to work. Why would I refer my patients here? Because y'all are so crusty, and I just talk myself through this whole narrative. But I'm like, I do not want to go because I'm looked at like, what do you want?
Yeah. Yeah. And that
I'm like,
feeling is...
And that feeling where I'm like, what do you mean? What do I want? I just brought you. I've spent my time thinking about what would be a good gift to bring. I've spent my time to go buy the basket, buy the tissue paper, make it look good, and try to bring you something unique. And you've literally treated me like I'm the UPS man. Just put it over there. And I'm not going to do that. Mm-hmm. And so I was projecting that onto this employee. I'm like, yeah, she doesn't know how hard it is to walk in. And I'm like, you know what? She has to deal with our patients walking in every day, and she kills them with kindness. She's probably not going to be fazed by that. She's going to try to figure out how to make herself memorable.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes, the appreciation there for her wanting to step up.
And fighting yourself on that. Realizing that your mind was naturally going to kind of a negative spot, and you're like, hey, stop it. Go back, focus on the positive in this situation, and appreciate what the employee is offering to do. And I think that is a really good point. You have to fight yourself for the appreciation. And I would also say, in addition to fighting the negative, you also have to fight the neutrality, I guess is what I would say. Just that mindset of like, this is just what this person is supposed to do.
So while I've already said some offensive things, I'll just keep on that track while I'm at it. Just irritate the whole bunch of listeners here. Let me make sure nobody feels left out here. So I'm going to say two other generalizations that I've kind of run across. One, I think, and you will prove me wrong on this one, but my natural tendency is to think men are going to have a harder time with this because they just tend to be more, okay, yeah, all right. And not recognizing a lot of the feeling that goes in to the women receiving the gift, if that's what we're still talking about. Mm-hmm. I think men on the team, like, not being as vocal about like how this might impact Susie and how she might feel with your words of affirmation and things like that. And of course, then by that same thing, I'm dogging the women going, well, we are feelers and you need to, like, not all women are that way. For the female practice owners that I now need to offend, I'm going to say, I think a lot of times it's, well, if I show my appreciation from a woman to women, I'm going to be seen as weak. Mm-hmm. Or, why should I have to do that? The male associate, partner, whatever, in my practice doesn't have to do all of this, but I do. No, I'm not going to weaken my stance. So I think these are all challenges walls that we throw up for ourselves. Mm-hmm. I think if I am right, and I have any man out there who's still listening and going, no, you crazy person, I do appreciate. But I think there is something to be said. I think many men are not, or they're more formulaic. They're the man who, I've told my husband from day one, do not bring me flowers on Valentine's. It's going to irritate the shit out of me because to me that's formulaic. There's nothing special about Valentine's Day. You're just doing what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So either don't bring me flowers and I'm just fine, or do not make it on my birthday, anniversary. Like, I don't want the typical traditional, you had to have no thought behind this gesture. Like, that's wasted on me. It's actually going to irritate me. Please don't do that. So if you are formulaic in nature, going, okay, well, I'm supposed to do something on RDA week, I'm supposed to do something at Christmas, like, I'm going to challenge you to think outside the box. And then for any female that's there going, well, I don't want to spoil my staff and they're going to think weaker of me. Well, then are you coming across as a cold bee? And a lot of times they'll take that from a man, but not from a woman. They're going to walk out on you anyway.
Right.
So find the ways to express your gratitude.
Yes. In big ways and small ways. I think it starts with the mindset, having the right mindset. And you need to not take for granted what you have. Just like my daughter yesterday, if you got legs that work, be grateful for legs that work. If you've got an RDA that can suck spit, be grateful for the RDA that can suck spit. You've got to fight for that mindset of gratitude. But then to further that, you've got to look for thoughtful ways to communicate your gratitude and your appreciation for people. And that cannot be formulaic. That actually negatively impacts it. If it looks like it was a prepackaged plan with no thought to it, it actually can take your token of appreciation, whatever that was, and it can turn it into a negative. So do not do that. These can be simple things like your shout out to Natalie for doing such a great job at that fall event. That is a form of appreciation. It started with the mindset of appreciation throughout that whole event. You were appreciative of the effort that she put into it. And then that naturally bled over into a group text where you gave her a shout out. That's a form of appreciation. It didn't mean that at the end of that event you slapped a $100 bill on her and you said, "Atta girl, way to go." No, it doesn't always have to be something like that. It can just be words and the fact that you appreciate.
So I think you're saying like formulaic, like going, okay, Christmas is coming up. I guess I'm going to do my $20 gift card for each staff member, check, done. That's not, a lot of times, yeah, you're going to have a couple of people that are going to be like, oh yeah, great, I got my $20, I needed this. But there's going to be a lot of people on your team that are going to be like, oh, that's the best you could do. Like they maybe would have preferred you to just make them homemade cookies. Like, yeah. So you've got to look at that. I think the other thing that I tend to see some of is going, well, shoot, tomorrow is hygiene day. Crap, I didn't think to do anything. You know what? Hey, hygienist, pick where you want lunch from. I'll give you my credit card. Mm-hmm. You know what? Yeah, you're going to have one or two that are going, oh, score, I got lunch tomorrow. But if you don't, most of them are going, do you even appreciate me? Like, right. you didn't pre-plan this. You didn't put thought into it. You're making me come up with the restaurant.
Right.
You're making me take your credit card. What, you could easily go online and do it yourself. You're not taking the time to think about, because yeah, it's a pain in the ass. Like, what should I order from Panera? There's like a million options. Here, Susie, you figure it out. No. You figure it out. Like, you try to think and go, what have I seen Jane eat a lot of? Jane loves salads. So I'm going to make sure I get some salads and make sure that I know that I've got a vegetarian on the team. Make sure that I order some sandwiches that don't have that. Like, you've got to put some thought into it because thought equals appreciation. And I think there's a lot of people that think that just paying for the item, check, I've done it. And again, that's gonna satisfy some of your team. Mm-hmm. But if you think that's gonna satisfy the majority of your team, you are grossly mistaken. And it actually can be a detriment. Yeah. Because there are people that are like, I'm not eating that crappy sandwich. He knows I'm on a diet. She knows that I hate Panera. Well, of course I can't order something for every single person, but at least she tried.
Right.
But if it feels to you like it's last minute and not thought out, your staff's going to feel that too.
Exactly. And it is, to me, a way of knowing that you actually don't have the mindset of appreciation. So if last minute random, you're like, oh shoot, tomorrow is, RDA day, whatever, it means that you haven't necessarily, you may have been appreciative of your RDA, but you haven't been thinking about an opportunity to show your appreciation. And therefore, it may indicate that you are not appreciative enough as you should be, or grateful enough as you should be. So, and again, this is not me saying, if anybody has listened, y'all know I'm not like celebrate every holiday, and I'm not saying that it has to be that. But what I'm saying is, at least there's got to be the attitude of appreciation that then leads to a thoughtfulness in how you display that appreciation to those around you. And when it is not thoughtful, might it indicate that you actually aren't appreciative? I think it does.
And so if you're not appreciative, then what's the problem with that?
So I would say, number one, an unappreciative person is usually an unhappy person. So before we even talk about the impact on your coworkers or on your team, you yourself are missing out on an opportunity towards happiness.
But we all know those people that are like, no, I'm just fine.
Yeah. I've met those just fine people. And I would say they're missing something. And again, there's been so many great books written on this now. One of my favorite is called The Happiness Advantage. If y'all haven't read it, you need to go read it. A client gave it to me, and I was so glad that he did. There's studies on people that have an attitude of gratitude are happier and more successful people. They do better in life.
So I'm going to go back to where I started, because I think we might have one or two listeners maybe still left listening. So for those of you too, I'm going to go back to, again, I'm picking on this generation, but I feel like it's a very me-centered generation. What is in it for me? No, I am happy. Why? What do you mean I'm not happy? I'm content. But I showed up to work and I worked, which means you get a paycheck. So you should be the one with gratitude, not me.
Yeah.
So I think it's not just one or two people. I think there's kind of this culture, a generation of people that are like, well, what is in it for me? And now you're saying that I need to express gratitude, but I think it's the other way around.
People need to express gratitude to me.
Right.
Yeah. Which again, if that is where your thought process is, like, oh, we lost our last two people, by the way, because those were the people who were like, I love this topic. I want to be more appreciated. And now we're like, you dummy. No, you need to appreciate it. So now, since it's just
you and I.
Since it's just us now, I guess we can talk very candidly at this point.
But I appreciate that I have locked you in my car so you can't ditch me too.
Oh my gosh.
Did you see that I turned on the air so you wouldn't sweat out?
Yes,
so that you wouldn't leave me? Yes, that's how I showed my appreciation to you for staying in here with me as I offend the entire population out there.
Oh my gosh. So yes, I would say if your mindset is often they need to appreciate me more, or man, they don't appreciate what I do, you don't have an appreciation mindset. You've got a me mindset. And I would challenge those people, I guess it's just you and me now, I would challenge us to flip the scale and go, in those moments of they don't appreciate me, I need to ask myself, am I appreciating enough?
And the reason for that would be, if you want to be more successful, every study shows. So if you're back to me and you want to think about how this is going to help me, studies show that helping yourself will come from being a happier person that's
helping others. Yes.
Well, aren't you grateful that I am here in this car podcasting with you? Grateful. Aren't you grateful for me?
I am so grateful for you, but every person that I talk to knows that I'm grateful for you. So,
and every person that I know knows how grateful I am for you.
See, what a perfect, look at this, the art of appreciation on display here. But it's only the two of us listening anyway. So.
That's okay. That's all I need is you.
Oh my gosh. So yes, go out. Find something to be grateful for. And
so I think, like, this is the mindset of appreciation. And I think next we'll talk about, and of course the newsletter, I think we'll have resources in our playbook section on how to actually do some of these things. I think you have a lot of really good tips. But I think another podcast we're going to do is talking about taking it to the next level, like to not just, because it starts with the mindset, but then things like your compensation package or your generosity or things like that, that we can kind of keep going with this topic, but it starts here.
That becomes like the tangible display of your appreciation. But first and foremost, if you don't have the attitude of appreciation, and we talk about the output of it, the generosity component, that can be formulaic. So it's got to actually begin with a true appreciation. And so I would say this is why this episode comes first. Before you get to the formulaic output of your compensation package and the honor that you show your employees, first and foremost, make sure that you actually have the attitude of appreciation. And that goes for practice owners, but that also, please, that goes for team members. This is not just your doctor's job to have an attitude of appreciation. It is for you as well. That team member that you're chronically complaining about, find something that you can be grateful for in that person and choose to talk about your gratefulness with that person. Like, thank you so much for always being the one that gets here early. You're so diligent in making sure that everything is put together. You're totally useless the rest of the day, but I appreciate the morning. And just talk about that, right? And so I think even as employees, we have to really fight for an attitude of appreciation. And employees can easily go into, well, what are they doing for me? And that is the wrong mindset. It's got to be, what am I doing for them? And that will get our employees into the right zone as well. So this is not just for the doctors. This is for everybody.
Thanks for joining the conversation today. We hope that you are comforted in knowing that you are not alone, but we also hope that you're walking away with some really great tips and tricks to try in your practice. We value your feedback, so please take a few moments to rate and review the podcast. Finally, we want to make sure that we're covering the topics that matter to you. So track us down on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and let us know what topics you want us to cover. As always, please know that we are rooting for you today as you manage your dental drama.